You're plugged into Schaumburg Speaks, a podcast highlighting and celebrating local businesses and community in the Schaumburg area.
Hello and welcome to Schaumburg Speaks, where we're plugging into business and community, brought to you by the Schaumburg Business Association and Ian Ryan Interactive. I'm your host, Andrea Bewer, the president of the SBA, and today's guest is a wonderful longtime SBA member. You're actually a board member, and you've been a board member for a while, and an ambassador, Schaumburg small business owner and resident Dan Origer. And you are the owner of DJ's Auto, who really gives us a new meaning to owning a car repair auto shop with a personal touch. Dan, my friend, I'm so excited to have you as a guest here today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for inviting me.
So a car guy on a podcast. Is this like a first?
Maybe a second.
A second. Oh, that's great.
We have members in this chamber that give us this opportunity.
Yeah, we have amazing members.
And they've given me the depth of how important it is to maybe share stories.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got the opportunity of meeting your daughter at one of our members that does this, and that was awesome.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she is. So let's dive right into the topic of walking the talk on truly you are the best car advisor with a personal touch who our members could trust. Can you share with us how you got your start in the auto repair business years ago?
Well, it really kind of was more of a mechanical attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Basically with my bicycle, learning how it worked, just tinkering, really.
So you're one of those tinker people that can fix anything.
And then being in the neighborhood of guys that were fixing cars. So, I was around them. And so I really enjoyed it. And so it took to me being around them and then, doing my own. So
when you were younger growing up, are you one of the ones that if you were walking by your house, in the neighborhood, did you take apart your car and try to figure it out and then put it back together?
I missed a lot of high school days.
Doing that, huh?
Fixing my car.
So speaking of high school days, I know back in the day, and they still do, did you take car classes in high school? Autos, metals,
woods.
And so that's where
I have an MBA of the mechanical side of the high school. But no, I really like to work with my hands. Schaumburg High School was where I went to high school, and they had all those options, so it was great to have that. And then I actually went to Lincoln Tech for my automotive college, and then 6 years later, I was able to open my own shop.
So what made you decide Schaumburg? You just wanted to give back to the community that you were raised in?
It was really comfortable. My parents were involved in small community. The Sons of Italy was kind of one of the Lions Club. There's all these things that were involved. So our family was involved in that. And so we knew a lot of the neighborhood. So it was like a building of a network, say in the 80s, before networking really was a thing, but yet it was, down the street, there's Joey, there's Danny.
Before people talked about it,
exactly.
Right?
So it was comfort in understanding that having those relationships, you have some sort of responsibility. So if I'm able to fix their car, I want to make sure that they're happy. And so working on people's cars that gives you that vision that, look, every car I work on, it could be somebody I know, and that I want to make sure that I don't have to see him again later and have him be mad at me for doing something wrong. So it's always been that put your best foot forward.
Especially for the community that you were born and raised in, to give back. So let's just talk a little bit about your DJ's Auto. What kind of services do you provide there currently?
So DJ's Auto is a mechanical repair shop. So we focus on drivability, brakes, tires, leaks. Sometimes they'll be like, what's this noise? What's this vibration? Is my car safe? What are my expectations of this vehicle? Is it going to be a money pit? Like, we don't have a crystal ball, but we do have experience. And so if you give us that opportunity and we take the time to look it over and give you a perspective of what's going on with the car, then you can go forward and find out, hey, is it worth fixing the car now? Or maybe it's time to get rid of it and get something different.
So you have a reputation in the area of really providing not only excellent car repairs, but things with a personal touch. Today, what do you do specifically, even though I have the answer, but from your perspective, what personal touch do you think that you provide that's different than some of the other standard auto repair places?
Well, honesty is obviously truly important. Understanding what your needs are, and then being upfront and saying, listen, this is safe. This isn't safe. These are the pricing structures. Everything doesn't have one size fits all. And so just letting you know that what I know, and you can make a judgment on what you feel like you want to do.
Yeah. So I know the car repair industry, cars in general, there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and especially about car maintenance. What are some of the things that you've seen that is the most common misconception when you have people come to your shop, like that we want to dispel those myths right now?
So a lot of perspectives come from a lot of different angles, because the dealership emphasizes a different way than we do. Say your Firestones and whatnot, it all has to come from the top of whatever business it is. And if it's a business that drives on numbers or drives on customer car count, or does it really care about, hey, we want good reviews and we want trust. And so that's truly what we build off of, that we let people know options, and that we want to let them know that, we want to be honest. And then again, that really has been my future. It's been my future from the beginning, to let people know truly what they need. Good news, bad news, but that's what it is.
It is what it is. So again, what I'm hearing is the biggest misconception, which I know is true, is finding a car repair shop, that's with honest people. And I could actually tell you firsthand, not only do I get a chance to work with you with the Schaumburg Business Association, so if you don't mind, I'm going to share a story. I was driving back with my team in the car, and I got a flat tire. And who did I call?
Almost a flat tire.
Well, it was almost a flat tire. So who did I call? I called Dan while we were driving back, and he's like, just drive to my shop. Well, my tire went flat and I didn't make it. And I turned into another place, and they were not the most honest with me, and said that there was something that was needed. And maybe they were honest. I don't want to say that they were honest or not, but they were definitely trying to sell me services that I probably didn't need, that I said I couldn't drive it. And literally I FaceTimed Dan, and he said, tell them to put air in, you'll be fine, and drive to your place. So I did. And long story short, you saved me money, you saved me time, and you kept me safe by the advice that you gave me, and you fixed my car. And I, not only did he fix the car, but it was done in like the next day. And anyway, it was just a great experience. So thank you very much for that. How do you educate your customers? So things that happened to me, because obviously it was definitely wear and tear in my tires. I probably should have replaced them years ago, and I didn't. How do you educate your customers to help them avoid costly mistakes that could have happened to them?
Well, trying to explain without losing them. We don't want to be too technical, but at the end of the day, we want to put value into what we explain, because then at the end of the day, when they spend the money on it, they have a good idea of why and what the issues are. Really, people don't give it a lot of time. Typically people will literally get an oil change twice a year. And if something happens in between.
Luckily, that's not me.
Great. So what happens is when we get the opportunity to get a car, we strongly recommend dropping it off, because then that gives us the opportunity to look it over. If there's a bad ball joint, or if there's something leaking, you're not going to know it till maybe much, much later, when something could be actually worse, where you could have found it beforehand. So the proactiveness of us looking really tries to give you an opportunity of no surprises, and that expectations can be met, because now we've told you there's something going on, or the battery's looking weak. It's not a good time right now, which is fine. But literally down the street or the next day, if the car doesn't start, we were able to at least give them that option that, the battery was bad, and it's an expectation. I definitely get a lot of second opinions. I get a lot of people, and I always thrive on that, because people say that the other place told me it has a leak. And it's really not a leak, an inexpensive leak, $1,500, $2,000. And when I told the guy, I'll look it over, I'll let you know how the condition is. Our condition of a leak is something where if you spill water on a table, that's a leak. But if it's something that's just a light mist or something on it, it's truly not a leak. and it can outlast the car and not have to spend the $1,500 and maybe put it towards brakes or tires or put the money in the right way. So I go back to advising, giving you the advice and expectations. And again, second opinions are always great for us because I feel like you don't have any options unless you get a second opinion.
Right. It's kind of like a doctor. So we are seeing technology changing every day, especially in your industry. And you've been involved in this industry for a long time. So I'm sure the way that you fixed cars when you were in high school has definitely changed to now. That's for sure. And the cars are a little bit smaller and very different. So how do you keep track of all this changing technology to ensure your customers receive the best service for both the traditional way of the oil changes or whatever to the more modern vehicles?
So the idea of going to like an AutoZone and they say plug it in and you need this part is ridiculous. Okay, otherwise
it's still a car.
But still, the parts places want to sell you parts, and so what happens is one check engine light, one code could be like 10 different things. So the point is to get it diagnosed is truly what you need to have it done. And there's, like I said, sometimes there's 10 different things that can cause one check engine light code. So I have to invest in tools. I have to invest in technology. So it might actually take more time to do the research, find out where to go, than it actually takes to go to the car and fix it. Because there's multiple things that could be wrong with it with one answer saying this is the only code. So, I mean, really, if it was really that easy, car repairs would be a lot less expensive, but we deal with corrosion, we deal with rust, salt, things like that. Things we unbolt, things that we put together sometimes take twice as long because we live in an area that just loves salt. So, and
you live in Chicago. I guess
so. I mean, it really does take longer than what the value is, and we do. We have an industry standard when we charge. There is a book time. And it's not like somebody just grabs this number off the air and just says, yeah, well, it took me this long. This is what I'm charging you. There's an industry standard. When you get your car fixed, there's an X amount of time at an X amount labor rate that gives an average amount. So if someone actually gets a price, we have something to go by. Again, sometimes it could take us longer. Sometimes if you have a well-educated and experienced tech, maybe he'll go faster. That's the point. But, it is never a one fit, but we do have a standard type of billing that can level the playing field for everybody. And so we try and work within that to be competitive.
Yeah. So I shared the story earlier about the personal touch that you gave me and the exceptional customer service that you provided. Is there any other memorable story that you could share with our listeners that you were able to turn somebody that from a situation into, I'm sure there's many, but what's your favorite?
So I just recently, my son worked for me for a while. And then my daughter is now working with me. And I have this one family that tells the story of both of them. And the mother just like to the detail talks about how she found my shop a long time ago. And so her son, who was 16, 17, was driving and the car died. And so they towed it to a shop and they had never used that shop before. And they told her that she needed a fuel pump. And so she was like, she just didn't have a good feeling. Maybe the person, we all have that, didn't feel like you're just connecting to that person. So she ended up towing it to me, and then I ended up checking it out, and it was out of gas.
Wow.
So she was happy to tell this story to my daughter just this past week in my waiting room. And I asked her, I said, well, how old is your son? And she said, 45.
Yeah. No way. Oh my God, that's so funny.
So 29 years ago, they've been coming to me for 29 years.
That is awesome.
Because, we really did the right thing.
Well, and that really is the right thing because obviously the other places didn't do the right thing and it was a simple fix. I love that story. That's
great. What I stress about second opinions. And, and I find my team to be like-minded. Chris is my manager for over 15 years. I have technicians that really just, try and be communicative and be transparent. So we have that opportunity of the eyes of the tech as well as what Chris can talk to the customers in translation to make sure that they get a better understanding of what they're paying for.
Great. So I know some people that have had their cars for a long time, and actually Laird, the owner of Ian Ryan Interactive that's recording us right now, he had a car, he just got a new one, but how many miles did it have? Like 150,000. And so he kept that car for a long time.
Sure.
Which is not as common these days as it was maybe back in the day. What advice can you give to somebody that has had a car for a long time or is getting a new car that wants to have that car last to 150,000 miles? What advice could you give them that you think can ensure that their car could continue to run smoothly?
Well, first, be comfortable where you go. You know, have somebody to be informative and look out for you instead of looking at you. Oil changes. I mean, they tell you to go like 7,500. Honda likes to do this percentage, and at 15%, I think it's at 6,000 or 7,000 miles already. There are so many sensors now in an engine that work off of oil. And so if your oil gets old, it wears down those sensors, and those sensors actually tell your car how to run. So you actually could have a misfire. You could actually have a lot of check engine light issues because you were lacking on your oil changes. So it really comes down to maintenance. Oil changes is still...
What's your recommended? Like when
if you think? Most cars are synthetic, so we recommend 5,000 miles.
Okay.
If it's not synthetic, it's 3,000 miles. You know, oil changes are a little bit more expensive. They're probably $50 for a regular oil change or $100. But engines now, I'm putting one in as we speak. It's $9,000 to put an engine in a Hyundai.
Where they could have avoided that for $100.
So it's really, really still so important. But the problem is cars are typically more reliable, so not a lot of little things. Where we used to do oil changes every 3 months. Now we don't see the cars as much. That's why I always say it's not the best thing to just go to an oil change place, because they want to sell you stuff that they want to sell you. Go to somebody that says, hey, this is what you need, and these are the things that are going on, because this is what the manufacturer says, and this is when we looked at your car, this is kind of where you're at with it. And you don't do it today, but at least save up for it.
Okay, so I have one question on those oil change places. I started going to one of those oil changes prior to me coming here places, and every time I pulled up, they're like, you need an air filter, which I never even heard of before, but like every time. So like trying to sell that to me every time. And one time I got one, and then I went to a different place the next time, and they said I needed that. Is that a trend thing? When do you really need an air filter for your interior car?
So the manufacturers really have it like every 15,000 miles. It didn't literally says it in your book.
My car wasn't even 15,000 miles. So,
but they recommend probably every 15 because they do a service. Because I was at Schaumburg Honda before I started the shop, and I was able to be around a dealer to find out what their maintenance programs are. And it's doing alignment every year or two, brake services so the brakes last. But there are brake fluid flushes you do. There are coolant changes you do. We at DJ's, we don't do transmission oil changes. They came out with this last 10 years of a different transmission. It's called the CVT. Very expensive transmission. And if you maintenance it or not, it'll still last typically maybe 120, somewhere in there. But if I just change the oil and then the transmission fails, it's a $7,000 transmission. And there's really no benefit to it. So if I could save people some money on the transmissions, it doesn't really help to change the trans fluid.
You think that is something that you truly, you probably don't need every
It's my 3, own personal, no, just the engine. The engine oil is definitely, spend your money on the extra oil changes. And then again, just really getting good attention for wherever you take your car to at least have them be informative on a couple of things. And honestly, if you don't feel it's good advice, definitely take it somewhere else. Definitely get a second opinion. Your cars are very expensive. They're not getting any cheaper to maintain, even though these parts right now could actually go more expensive. But it's definitely already there, and it's an investment. So when you're asking someone to invest money in their car, you truly want to trust them, and then make sure that we use good parts. I've been in Napa Auto Care Center since 1998. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means we give a nationwide warranty. So if I do your alternator and put it on your car today, and you drove down to Florida and that alternator failed, it would be towed it would be at another auto care center,
great.
and it would actually be fixed 100%, parts, labor,
Wherever you
tow,
brought it to.
everything
That's a Napa.
within the system is a Napa Auto Care Center. So I love the fact that we've teamed up with a major brand. So it's not just an independent DJs. I'm actually teamed up to give it more value for when you spend your money at DJs.
Well, you definitely give a personal touch to everything that you do. So I'm going to switch gears for a second. You've been a Schaumburg Business Association member, board member, as I mentioned earlier, for such a long time. How has it been beneficial? Or whether it's Schaumburg Business Association or another organization that you're a part of, how is that beneficial as a small business owner to help you grow your business?
It's one of the most important. We have to talk about when we first started in '93. It was phone book ads, pretty much, and then word of mouth. There wasn't really a lot of activity other than what I mentioned to you, if it was like the JCs or Lions, and those are all pretty much like non-for-profits. And then you got to meet people within because they would do college programs, scholarships, things like that. But when the chamber came out around the same time I joined a LaTip group back in the day, it really became our own environment and our own economy because, if you're room 30, 35 people, you're touching a lot of people that they know and then their networks. So back then it really gave me more opportunity because my location when I had my shop was actually in the back of like a warehouse for 15 years.
Okay.
So it wasn't until 2008 that I actually had a visible storefront kind of thing. And
you're still not on a major road. You got to know
it's
where
as
you're
major
at.
as could be. Well, the emissions
area.
places, you have to pass my building actually to go to the emissions. So that actually was a great thing. When I bought the building, they were building the emissions. So it was kind of a perfect timing that we were there. And so going through the process of meeting people, what ends up happening too is I end up getting married and then have kids. Well, the people in these networking groups, it's not so much that, of course, I would love to have their business, but it's the things that I learn about them. I'll go as simple as saying the heating and air guy to remind you to change your furnace filter. You find a lot of financial advisors. 25 years ago, I met one and I started my own 401k plan. Like I didn't have one because I was an independent business. So he set me up with my 401k and then boom, I have 1, 2, 3 kids. And so I want to save money for college. So what did they do? They introduced me to the 529 plan.
And this is all happened because
these networking opportunities that I get to meet and learn about the other people, what they can do. Like there was a realtor. I ended up buying a property. I ended up getting a mortgage from the guy. I used the insurance guy. I used the contractor, it's like, and the mortgage guy. Like I could literally do a different business by utilizing everybody in that room for something different on the side. Like, look, if you want to really try and think about things, you got to try and think outside the box a little bit if you feel like you want to get ahead. 40 hours is 40 hours. But if I'm in a room with a really good, talented amount of people, and truly they are because they're accountable, they're there, they're working hard. And if I can utilize and have an opportunity to do something to help my family, what they bring to the table, then I'm utilizing and diversifying my income and my opportunities by the people in the room.
Oh, you get it. You get it. When you give or just getting to know other people, you get in return.
It's 100% give.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you support, you'll get support.
Okay. Speaking of giving, what is the best Dan advice that you could give to a brand new member? Because we average about 20 new companies that are joining each month here. And I see people, do all different types of networking and all that. What advice can you give them? What's the best advice that you wish you had, 30 years ago that you could tell them now?
Well, a big part is if you're saying there's new members. Well, these new members in the Schaumburg Business Association have ambassadors. So use them.
Okay.
I am an ambassador. I've been an ambassador for about 3 years.
Yep.
And so what is our main focus is to jumpstart their membership, ask them what their needs are, ask them what are your expectations. If you're going to sit there and say, I need at least 5 people to join my company and I need this, and this, and I have to have that. Well, then I'm going to be like, well, you might not be in the right spot. Because I feel like you're going to be around people that want to get to know you. And before they spend money, they want to feel like that you're part of their team. So if you come in to this chamber, I'll be honest, it's just a way of thinking. It's any place. Yeah. You know, you really have to find yourself, build friendships. I mean, you'll find so many new people that I feel like I've known them for years. And I've literally met this woman probably in the last 2-3 months. She's amazing. I feel like I've known her forever. But I look back and I just literally have only known her a couple months. And she's just easy to talk to, easy to have coffee with. And then when you build those relationships and find out what they're doing, because it's really easy, because once, like, I'm an ambassador, I know a lot of the members, I know a lot, and it's easy for me to connect. Yeah. So the fact that if I can listen to their needs and say, hey, this person might be interested in what you do or know somebody.
So utilize your resources
100%.
when you first join. And if it is SBA, which we hope it is, utilize your ambassadors.
No, 100%. Yeah. You should really, that's why we're here, to make the connections. I'll tell you that the other 14 or so ambassadors, when they do reach out, they feel like they give a little resistance. It's like, it's kind of funny. Why did they join? Hopefully it's just not for the sticker for the door, because it's nice, but you know, come on, it's not made out of gold. No. But you know, it's like, why did you join? And don't tell me you had to, because they're missing the point. Right. There are companies that feel like it's just good PR, but God forbid they like go to something and actually meet somebody and then business. Actually get a business, or at least a contact. And what could it be? It could be a guy that, you know, owns a commercial company and then falls right into a commercial realtor that said, hey, I got this guy going on the market, you know, and I was thinking about expanding. I mean, it's that fast.
And you're such a resource. And I think being part of a group like this, you could be a resource to other people and they could be it to you, and you could refer back and forth. And it's just a win. But
as an ambassador and us as the members, we know we're good listeners, right? I mean, they're kind of nervous. They're going to be nervous, but especially if they go to some events, but we're really good listeners. And so we're connecting the dots. And if it isn't the ambassadors today, it was the ambassadors before, because they had their network before. But we all are on the same page to help them get an opportunity for that. It doesn't even have to be the big fish. It could be just, you know, nibbles, but all we're trying to do is show there's huge value in the chamber, and that being part of this group, to utilize it, understanding what your options have in front of you. And that's where we're there to explain it.
Well, you and the rest of your fellow ambassadors bring huge value to SBA, and we thank you so much for your volunteering and your amazing company. So I know people are saying that Dan really is a great guy, and somebody that you could trust. How could they contact you if they have a problem with their car, or they just want to meet Dan? How can they get in touch?
Well, of course, it's DJ's Auto Service in Schaumburg. Our location is off of Wise Road. It's 495 Estes Avenue in Schaumburg. Our phone number is 847-923-0780. Of course, our website, djsautoservice.net. Net. And I mean, look, the resource guide, even in
so I was going to say Schaumburg
the Chamber's
Business
resource
coming out
guide.
Next week.
Just going online for the chamber. I mean, if there's anybody that you're actually, and when there's people that consider even being membership, they could literally look at the audience. I mean, they can look at the list of all the members that are in there and say, oh, MetLife or this or that, you know, whatever their area that they're looking for. If they even see it on the list, I mean, the fact that it's even there could give them a good indication that it's probably a good place to be.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and you could go to, as Dan mentioned, schaumburgbusiness.com and find you there. Thank you so much. You're an amazing partner, friend, and member to the Schaumburg Chamber, and we just appreciate that you're here and that you're part of our community.
Well, this has been my number one way to build my relationships, my friends. We even built a non-for-profit called the Giving Group within our network of people that just And it literally was at a Boomers game, and we literally all talked and had the same mindset. There was probably 10 of us in a suite, and then we asked Mike Larson to come over and if we could use the field, and we just got the ball rolling. And here it is 5 years later that the Giving Group is really working with the district. We're working with pets and vets. It's just been an amazing journey these last few years, just working with the members in this chamber.
Yeah,
it's been amazing.
Great. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm newer, renewed back, and it's just been a pleasure getting to know you all again and learning about your business.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you.